Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of Dale Center NASCAR betting preview for the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's a very interesting weekend when you have Kyle Larson running all three NASCAR National Series races. Going to try to get the triple for the first time since Kyle Busch, and the only time since Kyle Busch. He's the only driver to ever do win all three races in a weekend, and it definitely has created shockwaves in the NASCAR betting world in how we look at this entire weekend from Friday to Saturday to Sunday. By the time you see this episode, you're going to see some bets being dropped on Dub Club over at the Dale Club. If that camera freezes one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind. How much should I pay for this webcam? You don't want to fucking know, respectfully. Anyway, I'll be boots on the ground in Bristol, Tennessee this weekend. I'll be at the Xfinity race and the Cup race Saturday and Sunday. Trucks, I've decided to get more rest and before I head out because trucks could get rained out to a Sunday morning race. It's supposed to rain all day on Friday, which is not good for the Craftsman Truck Series. Practice and qualifying, I believe, certainly will get rained out later this afternoon. Time of me being recording this is early morning Friday. Looking for like a around lunch type of drop for this episode. And as I said, by the time this does drop, you will see bets over on dubclub.win. Check out that link below in the YouTube description. Partner with Dub Club to deliver winning NASCAR bets all season long. And after it froze again. After last week at, where were we at? Martinsville? I guess. No, where were we at? Were we at Martinsville? I don't even remember. I'm so angry about this webcam that I cannot get to work properly. Yeah, we were at Martinsville. We had a good weekend. Didn't have a good day in Cup. Kind of got screwed. No, I'm sorry. Darlington. My bad. We were at Darlington. Kind of had that one unlucky caution with Brad Keselowski. Kind of flipped our betting card upside down. Anywho, with everything else we did well before that, we're officially over the 30 unit mark to start 2025. We're plus 30.8 units, I think, on the dot. If you've tailed every single betting card to start 2025, including the Clash, which most people don't. If you joined after Atlanta, which most people did, you're profitable if you've tailed every single bet over on the Dale Club in 2025. So we're 30 units in the green, basically. We've had a good rebound after some horrific luck at Daytona, a little bit at Atlanta, and then just a couple bad betting cards, right? We've had a couple bad ones, but we've had the luck kind of come and go, and I feel like the process has been fantastic, at least for Cup and Xfinity. Trucks, I've been terrible on. There's no question. Been terrible on trucks, been terrible on Cup qualifying. We got bailed out at Martinsville in the Truck Series. There's no question about that either. So I'll have everything behind the paywall this weekend at the Dale Club. It'll make it easier for me since I'll be at the track. I'll get to bet on my phone once I get out of the heart of America, aka Mississippi, and I'm very excited about that. So you will see bets by the time you see this episode one more time, clarifying that. Be sure to check out our friends over at advanced.gg, premium performance supplements, gamers, racers, sports bettors. You all could enjoy this product and it could enhance your performance. Advanced.gg. Get your focus, lock in, use promo code Dale at checkout to get 10% off. That link in the description as well. Let's get started. We're at Bristol Motor Speedway, which has been an interesting dilemma for us NASCAR bettors over the past few years. We've been on the dirt. It was dirt behind me in the spring for several years. So we only had one concrete race a year for basically 3 years in a row. So you didn't have a super accurate sample, I guess, heading into the fall race. Now that 2024 was the first year that we had a double concrete Bristol year, I think since 2020, 2021, or 2019. I think the first dirt race was 2021, won by Joseph Lame Gano, barely beat Daniel Suarez. Now it seems like we've got an adequate amount of data in the Gen 7 era at this racetrack on concrete to look at. And what I hate about Bristol today, and it's not just with Cup, it's also with Xfinity and trucks. You know, we have this talk about dilemma. There's a dilemma on what we put on the racing surface with resin, PJ1. And I do think the fans are kind of sick of it. I know the drivers last year requested PJ1 instead of the resin, and it was just a snoozer of a race last fall when they went with the PJ1 in the fall, contrary to the resin in the spring, which was one of the best Bristol races we've ever seen. What I can't stand about Bristol today, as a traditionalist NASCAR fan who's adapted to this Gen 7 era, Gen 7 NASCAR, I'd say considerably well, because I don't hate on what we see today like a lot of other people do, especially on Twitter. What I hate about it is Bristol 20 years ago was very difficult to pass on a one-lane racetrack. Now, today, it is just as difficult to pass on a two-lane racetrack. And it's a two-lane racetrack off and on. And that's partially because of PJ1, resin, all this stuff they put on the track to try to enhance the racing. And over time, I feel like, and I hadn't even mentioned the fact that they kind of changed this racetrack. They repaved it back in, or they changed the banking back around 06, 07. Can't remember the year, 08 maybe. The changes that this track has gone through, naturally, the changes that it's gone through with NASCAR implementing artificial grip has kind of hurt this for everybody. And the Cup Series has paid the price the most. When you combine the Gen 7 being terrible on short tracks with everything I just stated, it created the perfect formula for a snoozer last fall, right? So when we look at Bristol, when we look at what happened last fall, and when we look at the Gen 7 era in general, what the fuck just happened behind me? Hold on a second. Okay. Somebody disappeared. I don't know what driver just wrecked out and junked it, but somebody did. Hope that's not somebody we are going to bet on this weekend. But when you look at just driver averages, this is the most chalky racetrack on the entire schedule in Gen 7. Because you got guys like Kyle Larson, 4 races since 2022, 4 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and a win. Denny Hamlin, 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s, 2 wins. Chase Elliott, 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s. Christopher Bell, 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s. Chris Buescher, 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s. Every single one of those drivers has run in the top 20 in all 4 Bristol concrete races in Gen 7. You've got all these drivers with incredible average finish, because the race, other than 2022 in the fall, has been very, very predictable on who's running up front. And I talked on Out of the Groove with Eric Estep earlier this week about the fact that that this is so chalky. It has been in the Gen 7 era. We mentioned the average finish being ridiculous for some of these guys who run up front every single race. And in particular, I talked about Denny Hamlin. And the fact is that he's been the best in any situation. He was great last year, great the year before, and then last spring, which was one of the best Bristol races ever because of the excessive tire fall off, he was great there too, and he won that race. So Denny Hamlin, it has the ability to adapt better than anybody. If we get that fluke type of deal that we had last year, or if we get a snoozer, Denny's going to be in the conversation. And to expand even further upon that, Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher Bell has been amazing here. Hasn't gotten that win, but he's been really close. He did one on dirt spring of 2023 for whatever that's worth. Ty Gibbs has been good here. Probably had the best car here last year. Was probably the best driver. Just being dealt the card of having to have very, very meticulous tire management screwed him out of winning that race last spring. That's how I feel about that. Just not having the veteran experience of Hamlin, Truex, Keselowski, Bowman, those guys that all ran top 5 at the end, had better tire management skills in a very, very bizarre situation. I don't expect that this time around. They're applying PJ1 again with the same tire. The only difference between here and last fall is going to be temperature. That's it. Everything else is going to be the same, and you get more practice. I think last fall they did come here, and I think they may have extended practice because of what happened in the spring of 2024. But you know, now that we have more practice, you're basically bringing the same scenario back as last fall. I got to tell you, I think Sunday could be a snoozer easily. And what's going to happen if it's a snoozer? Joe Gibbs Racing with Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs is a sleeper, and then Hendrick Motorsports with Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. I feel like if you go on driveraverages.com at Bristol Motor Speedway, all these guys that have run up front in basically every Gen 7 Bristol race on concrete are all going to be running up front again. I'm hoping that's not the case, because while this race has been very chalky and the statistics are very chalky, it has created chalk, major chalk on the betting side too. Just to give you a quick idea, which we're gonna move to qualifying and then trucks and Xfinity real quick, but I wanted to give you an analysis because I have no bets in right now, and I don't know if I'm gonna have anything pre-qualifying for Cup. I don't think I'll have anything, because I'm trying to figure out where we could even achieve CLV in a race that your favorites could easily run 1 through 3. Your favorites on FanDuel, Kyle Larson plus 490, Hamlin plus 490, Bell plus 600, 6-1. Those guys could easily run 1 through 3 the entire race, based on what we saw last fall and what we've seen mostly in the Gen 7 era at Bristol. So, I guess one tip here, there's a couple guys we could look at and that I'll go over later, but I'm not committing to betting anything on this race because I hate the lines. Hate them, but it makes perfect sense when you look at the history since 2022. It is a fucking chalk fest. I use that term properly this entire time as an adjective, you know. One note here, and this is going to be a good segue into my Cup qualifying bets 12 minutes into this episode. Kyle Larson goes out really early. Dude, if this webcam freezes again, can you guys, hey, real quick, at the very end of the program, can you guys in the comments count how many times you catch my $8 million webcam freezing? Tell me how many times it happens in the comments, please, if you don't mind. Anyway, one tip of advice, Kyle Larson goes out very, very early in qualifying. That is something, with how hard it is to pass, I think Kyle Larson is not going to qualify well. I think he's kind of screwed on his draw. He's going out like 9th. I got the qualifying groupings pulled up here via our guy Bob Pockrass. I mean, after a terrible week last week, he's going out extremely early because of the formula. You have a bad week before, you're screwed the next week. And to kind of complete that segue, when you look at qualifying bets on BetMGM or on Canby, which, by the way, BetMGM does not do qualifying odds every week, but in Mississippi, BetMGM Mississippi, and I'm hoping Tennessee will have this too if you're in that area, and other states, BetMGM has qualifying odds, and they are fantastic in several areas relative to what Canby, and Caesars might have qualifying odds again, what they typically have, I'm sure. So check out BetMGM for Cup qualifying odds. BetMGM, man, it's so weird. They're like FanDuel. They give pretty advantageous lines relative to DraftKings and Canby sometimes, but they just do whatever the fuck they want. We didn't even have top 5s for trucks or Xfinity on BetMGM until early Friday morning, crack of dawn Friday morning. I've been checking it nonstop. So they just do what they want. Like last week, they had stage bets. I mean, they don't. What do we do? They do that once every 5 weeks? Like, I don't know. They just offer what they want when they want. But when they do, I think it does help us out. So anyway, check out BetMGM. So 2 things here. Alex Bowman won the poll last fall, as we move into more qualifying betting talk here. Alex Bowman won the poll last fall. Ryan Blaney won the poll last spring. And Larson and Bowman go out back to back early in Cup qualifying. So as I explained last week, when we finally nailed a qualifying bet, perfectly called it with William Byron, because partially of where he was going out. I do not expect much of a difference in how these qualifying sessions have gone. What have we noticed? If you watch qualifying on Prime, everyone who goes out late towards the very end of the session seems to always have a disadvantage. Alex Bowman at Homestead is the one outlier here because he had a cloud cover come through that helped him out. But typically these guys that go out mid-late, when the track is cleaned off, they rip the fastest lap times, and then as more rubber's put down, everybody slows down a little bit. I'm gonna ride that same mentality here, while also having a couple safety nets towards the end, which you can do. You can bet 5-6 guys, and if you nail it, you'll profit. But it's been a tough thing for us to do in 2025 with the format change. Kyle Larson goes out early. Alex Bowman go out early. They're 5-1 and 8-1 respectively on BetMGM. If you want to donate to the sports books, which this all could be a donation by the end of the weekend, but it's not a guaranteed donation yet. A guaranteed donation, chat, is betting Kyle Larson for the pole and betting Alex Bowman for the pole at those prices, especially. You want to donate to the sports books? BetMGM will be happy to take your money if you want to bet Kyle Larson to win the pole or Alex Bowman to win the pole. Please don't do it. They go out early. The track's getting cleaned up. Their lap times will not sustain when they are the first 8 to 10 cars hitting the racetrack. So this is why one piece of advice for Kyle Larson. He's the favorite. He's plus 450, plus 500 in every book. Just wait. Just wait on Kyle Larson, because I don't think he's going to have a good starting spot. And that does hurt. Maybe you get maybe some recency bias will come through from Darlington. Maybe we say, he just had a terrible week at Darlington. He qualified poorly at Bristol. Maybe you could get 6-1, 7-1 by green flag. Maybe. So wait on Kyle Larson. Alex Bowman, not going to bet anyway, but for qualifying purposes, good info, I think, that you could use. And I'm going to tell you what I like, what I think I'm going to bet in qualifying. And I'll start from the bottom up. I like where Ross Chastain's going out. He's going out 32nd of 39. This is like right at the edge when the track seems to start slowing down. Chastain is 50-1 to win the pole over on BetMGM. He is 33-1 over on Bet Rivers. He's going to be on my card. Excuse me. Ty Gibbs, 35-1 to win the pole on BetMGM. He is 22-1 to win the pole on Bet Rivers. He's going to be on my card. Ty Gibbs goes out right in that area where William Byron went out last week, where Michael McDowell went out at Las Vegas. Ty Gibbs is right in that sweet spot, in my opinion, to lay a lap on the fastest, or on the time that the racetrack is fastest during the entire session. So Ty Gibbs, 35-1, worth a shot. I thought he had a shot at the pole last week, kind of fumbled in 3 and 4 if you were watching qualifying. Bubba Wallace, another guy, kind of in maybe a little early, but he is in the latter half. He's going out 24th of 39. He's pretty close to that sweet spot in qualifying, and he has qualified well here in the past. Has certainly qualified better than he's raced at Bristol. And, he qualified third last fall. I'm going to retract that because 29th, 14th, 29th, 3rd. He actually had not qualified well here until last year. So I'm going to take what he did last fall with the same exact PJ1 being put down, same exact tire, a lot of practice time. Bubba Wallace, P3 here last fall, and he on BetMGM is 25-1 and 18-1 on Bet Rivers. He's going to be on my card too. So now let's talk about the favorites, right? I got you 3 underdogs for the poll who are all. Chastain, I think, is the least likely, but he's 50-1. every now and then Trackhouse comes out and just hits you with a pop. You know, they're like, it's interesting. They got all the resources from Ganassi when they shut down, right? They do what Ganassi did in the Cup Series. Every now and then they just come out with blazing speed. Not super often. Chastain, I feel like, is kind of overperforming in equipment that has not been great for him, Suarez, SVG at many of these technical ovals. So Chastain 50-1, least likely to win the pole, but he's going out kind of late, right at the end of that sweet spot when the track seems to start slowing down, and it's just kind of a long shot for a reason, right? But I feel like it could be a good potential breakout play. My bold prediction here: Chastain will qualify top 5 this weekend at Bristol. So if he qualifies top 5, if he qualifies top 8, maybe top 10, a 50-1 sprinkle is worth it, right? If he's close, you're like, okay, that was a decent opportunity. So Chastain, Gibbs, Bubba. Let's talk about the favorites that I have. Ryan Blaney, 6-1 on BetMGM, 5-1 on BetRivers. Got the pole here last fall in similar conditions, or last spring, different conditions, but has qualified well here in other years in the Gen 7. The one thing these guys need, well, they need two things. One, they need a better pit crew, and two, they need to qualify up front. If these guys will qualify up front, they get that number 1 pit stall, they will be very, very tough to beat with the speed that they've had in that 12 car. It's been off the charts how good they've been. So Ryan Blaney, 6-1 to win the pole. I'm going to bet it. And then I'm going to bet Christopher Bell. Right now, BetMGM plus 475. He is the outright favorite to win the pole, co-favorite, with Denny Hamlin at 4-1 over on Canby. So a little bit better line there on Christopher Bell. So what is that? 6 drivers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 drivers. Bell, Blaney, Gibbs, Chastain, Bubba. And then we're going to go William Byron. This is that insurance, right? I talk about in case we get a scenario. Like, we are qualifying. What time are we qualifying at? I think we're qualifying a tad bit later at Bristol this weekend than we have been at these other tracks. 2 o'clock, 2:05. Not as late as we have qualified here in the past, but okay, let's just say this, maybe we're due for somebody who comes out late to get the pole. Based on what's happened in 2025, that has not been the case. But, you know, we also have PJ1 down. You got a different circumstance. What you had at Darlington, Martinsville, Vegas, etc. Here's your insurance: William Byron and Christopher Bell. I think regardless, they're going to qualify well. Going out late typically has not been a pole winning position, but you got to have somebody that goes out late in case one of these blazing guys, Byron and Bell, you could make an argument, have been on average the best qualifiers in the Gen 7 era. And you're going to give me, I mean, Byron put down a heater last week, even though he did have the good qualifying draw. He's 7-1. 7-1 and has qualified well here in the past. So give me William Byron on that. And then, as I said, Christopher Bell plus 475 on BetMGM. I'll post those with plenty of time. I got a DM on Discord, and this guy's right. Sometimes I get these bets out late. You know, it just kind of varies on what I have going on. Remember, I got to do basically all my bets in person. So I'm constantly running around like a chicken with his head cut off, with his bubble goggles cut off. Anyway, so the way I have to bet, you know, I don't want to put a betting card out before I place bets myself. And typically too, you know, we kind of sleep on the fact that these books are very inconsistent with qualifying bets. Sometimes they don't come out till Thursday or Friday. Sometimes they don't come out at all. BetRivers, Canby books, or at least BetRivers and Bally for me, is the most consistent with them. So BetMGM, out of nowhere, dropping some qualifying odds with some value. I went over the discrepancies, and I'll go over my qualifying bets one more time. Chastain, Gibbs, Bell, Blaney, Byron, and Bubba to win the pole. at Bristol this weekend. And hopefully, by the time I bet, those prices won't move too much. Hopefully, I'll have that out before you can even see this. So that's what I like for Cup qualifying. I know this has already been pretty long-winded. But we're going to move to the Craftsman Truck Series. Let's talk trucks. Truck Night in America on Friday. There's potential for this to be a Sunday race. You got Kyle Larson in the field. I think Larson's going to win. I don't care where he starts. I think he's going to carve him up, get to the front, lead a bunch of laps, and dominate. So I'm going to now move to trucks over on BetMGM. As I said, been waiting for some good top 5 odds to drop. And you've had it on DraftKings. I mean, if it's not really good, but you've had odds for that on DraftKings. Now you've got top 3 on BetMGM, but you don't have top 5. And sometimes it goes in and out. Sometimes it seems like it goes in and out on when these odds come and go. But I think the strategy I'm going to employ this weekend, I'm going to take a handful of long shot outrights. Caden Honeycutt. Let me go to FanDuel here because I built these a second ago. Caden Honeycutt, 30-1 is the best I've seen. Good short track racer, has had some good moments here. He's 30-1 on FanDuel, and he's 30-1 on 35-1 on BetMGM. Scratch that. 35-1 on BetMGM. So take it there. Do it before practice. Do it before qualifying. Because let's go back to my guy Bobby P over on Twitter, Bob Pockrass, who put out the qualifying order. If you ever see the qualifying order, and Bob does explain this sometimes when we have weather in the area, if qualifying gets rained out, which I'm almost positive it will for the Truck Series, that qualifying order that Bob Pockrass posts, the starting order is an inverse of what he posts. So Parker Kligerman is in the 75 truck this weekend for the first time since Daytona, where I tragically lost my retirement fund due to him getting disqualified. He's going to go out first, which means if we get rained out, he's going to start dead last. And that's because part-time team, they don't have points built up. They're automatically going to be at the bottom of the totem pole. So he'll start dead last. Hemrick will be on the pole. Ankrum will start outside pole. Chandler Smith, Corey Heim, Jake Garcia will be your top 5. Some notables. Kyle Larson will be 11th, I believe. Brandon Jones, Xfinity guy, he's racing for Tricon this weekend. He will be 13th. So they've got decent track position to start out. A driver like Caden Honeycutt will be back in the 20s, and Grant Enfinger will be back in the 20s. Matt Crafton will be around 30th. So that is definitely worth considering here. Now, my concern is with a short turnaround time. You got the Masters this weekend. You got bigger focuses for the sports books. Will we get to see repopulated top 3s and top 5s? That would be my concern. Regardless, I don't think you're going to see a lot of line movement. I feel like they're just going to kind of shoo the practice qualifying deal away and say, these are the top guys. We don't care where they're starting. They've been the best. It's a fucking Truck Series. We don't care. Refresh the lines as is. That could happen. So I'm probably going to bet on everything I'm about to tell you before practice and qualifying. And the strategy I'd like to employ, and I wish BetMGM would drop top 5s for trucks so badly, but I only see top 3s right now in Mississippi. But what I'd like to do is bet a bunch of top 5 bets. Tyler Ankrum. Remember, Daniel Hemrick won the last truck race at Martinsville. He's a teammate of Daniel Hemrick. He had a great truck too. Tyler Ankrum, Daniel Hemrick, McAnally Racing just has had a ridiculously good short track program over the past couple years. So when I see Tyler Ankrum, who, if qualifying's canceled, is going to start on the outside pole at a track he's run well at before, he's in the best equipment. He is 3.5-1 for a top 5. He is 8-1 on BetMGM for a top 3. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a bunch of these guys for top 5s that are mid to low on the list, and I'm going to ladder my units to ensure that regardless of my other bets, If one driver gets a top 5 out of everybody that I bet, it's going to be profitable. It will be a profitable Friday night. That's how I'm going to approach this weekend, because I think Kyle Larson is going to win. I don't want to bet minus 120, minus 140. That fucking sucks. We saw how crazy he was at Homestead spinning out. I mean, it's just, I don't want to bet that. If I want to do anything, it will be a parlay with Kyle Larson. It'll be a parlay. And I think I'll have that later, and I'll post that. But Tyler Ankrum top 5 plus 350. I'm just praying that BetMGM will drop and give us a top 5 line on Ankrum over on MGM. If I could get 4-1, I'd be a lot happier. And then I'm going to go with Caden Honeycutt. Same thing. He's 4-1 on DraftKings. Hopefully we can get that on BetMGM. Parker Kligerman 5-1. This is one I'm going to wait on because he's starting dead last. I'll take my chances. I'll wait on Parker Kligerman. Maybe that will be the one of few scenarios where the books will say, oh, fuck. Hadn't raced all year. Starting dead last. Maybe there's room for adjusting this one. So I'll wait on Kligerman to see, and I'll wait on BetMGM in this case as well. Typically, they're better in the top 5 department than DraftKings is for this series. And then we're going to go down. Matt Crafton, 11-1 for a top 5. Has run top 5 here recently. Multiple top 10s. This is his wheelhouse. Give me Crafton for a top 5. I know he's starting deeper in the field. I don't think you're going to see movement there. I'm honestly surprised it is as low as it is over on DraftKings. And then Giovanni Ruggiero, 12-1 top 5. I just really like this rookie. He has natural speed. We've seen rookie breakouts, young guy breakouts at this track in the past. Give me Gio Ruggiero, 12-1 top 5. That truck is, I think that truck is a winning truck. I think that number 17 truck with Tricon is winning equipment, winning team. Ruggiero, if you get some craziness, 12-1 for top 5, I think could be a good little sprinkle. And then Jake Garcia. This is a line I could definitely see movement on. 14-1 for a top 5. He is going to start P5 because he finished top 5 at Martinsville the last time the Truck Series was out. Qualifying gets rained out. He's going to be there in the top 5. And that line could shrink. So good CLV opportunity. Jake Garcia top 5. Got a top 5 at Martinsville. Was it lucky? You're damn right it was. But I believe that this kid is pretty talented. Feel like at the short tracks he runs better. Thorsport's been good here in the past. Good at this track type. Maybe you get a little bit of momentum from what happened at Martinsville. 14-1 for top 5 I think is good because I don't think it's going to close there if qualifying gets rained out. Once again, I'm hoping BetMGM will help us out here. Check out Hard Rock as well. I'm not going to be able to use Hard Rock until I get to Tennessee, which will be after the truck race, so it doesn't matter for me. But see what they have. If you can get an Ankrum top 5 at 4-1, that is my favorite bet in that department. So a couple more, like I talked about. I kind of got away from this, but Kligerman is 48-1 outright over on FanDuel. Ruggiero 130-1 on FanDuel. Luke Fenhouse 310-1. Luke Fenhouse is a guy, and I can't believe I just left him off right there, but back to DraftKings. Fenhouse 28-1 for a top 5. I believe that this kid is super talented. He's going to run around the top 10. If he doesn't make mistakes, this could be a fantastic breakout race and a breakout bet at 28-1 for a top 5. Looking at the qualifying list. If qualifying does get rained out, he's going to be around 20th. He's going to start around 20th next to Caden Honeycutt. So I think it's worth a shot. Take that before practice, before qualifying. You'll see that on Dub Club before we get to that point. So Fenhouse top 5, Garcia top 5, Ruggiero top 5, Crafton top 5, Ankrum top 5, and a Honeycutt top 5. I'm debating. The only two I'm debating here is Kligerman and Honeycutt. I'm not going to bet Kligerman top 5 yet. I just think it's a little overpriced with the situation. You get no practice, no qualifying for a team like Henderson that, like I said, has not run since Daytona. Could be bad. That reeks of mechanical gremlins waiting to jump out. So I'd bet the Kligerman outright 48-1 pre-practice. That'd probably be it if we're not going to practice and qualify, which I don't think we will. Caden Honeycutt 4-1 top 5. Nice is a mechanical gremlin machine. You don't get practice and qualifying for that team, could be a problem as well. So I'm kind of debating sitting that out. I think Tyler Ankrum, this is a fantastic spot for him to take his outright top 3 and top 5. Outright best I've seen, 30-1 over on BetMGM, 30-1 on FanDuel. Take it at one of those two. I'm going to check Canby just in case, but typically they're not as good on the underdog outrights. 30-1 on Bet Rivers as well. So you can get 30-1. Qualifying gets rained out. He might be 20-1, 15-1 at green flag. And even if it does, Ankrum is a great play here today, because if it doesn't get rained out, I think he's going to qualify up in the top 10, maybe top 5, and he's going to have one of the best trucks, regardless of the situation. He is worth a bet. I've been an Ankrum hater. I've shat on his talent, but you cannot deny he has been very, very close. And at this track type and this equipment, I'm telling you, Ankrum for a top 3, top 5, 8-1 top 3, 3.5-1 top 5, I think that could easily make your Friday night. So I think he is an emphasis play for Truck Night in America on Friday night. And then last but not least, Corey Heim is 5.5-1 outright on Bet Rivers on Canby. This is worth a unit, maybe a unit and a half. If Kyle Larson makes a mistake, which he does, he's very mistake prone in anything he drives, which is why we love him, right? But for a betting sense, by the way, best line I've seen for Larson, -118 on Bet Rivers, Canby, Bally, whatever. Corey Heim plus 550. The only guy that could beat him at Homestead was Corey Heim. And then he had that engine malfunction deal. So plus 550, 5.5-1 for Corey Heim, I think is a must bet. Regardless of what happens, he's going to start up in the top 5, I think. He's going to qualify well. If qualifying gets rained out, guess what? He's starting 4th. He'll take the lead and he will win stage 1 if it turns out that way. So Corey Heim, 5.5-1 is worth a bet. With everything else I said, I feel like we're going to end up pretty locked and loaded for trucks in the prop department. But I feel good about it. I think the board has talked about how I've hated the board all week. Well, now that we've got some truck odds, some truck props populating, looks a little bit better for us. So Truck Night in America should be fun. Potential for it to run Sunday. So keep an eye on that as we go. So let's talk Xfinity. Xfinity is going to be a lot thinner than everything I gave you on trucks. No question. And I think the emphasis play, once again, I think Kyle Larson is going to win. I do. I think it's going to be the Larson show. Carson Kvapil, ladies and gentlemen. Carson Kvapil. This is what... Look, let's just hope we don't get what we had at Martinsville, right? A complete shit show. Carson Kvapil is a short track ace. He's in the High Rock vodka car. It looks super good. Does that make him faster? In my mind, it does. Analytics, experts, hashtag expert advice. Carson Kvapil is the emphasis play here. Pre-practice, pre-qualifying. Top 3 over on BetMGM. MGM does have top 5s for Xfinity, by the way. Top 3, 7-1 for Carson Kvapil. Top 5 plus 275. Hoping we can get 3-1 there, but I still think it's worth it. I think everybody should go pretty thin on Xfinity. I think Larson's going to smoke them. Same type of process, though, is what I'm thinking for trucks and Xfinity. Take an emphasis guy that you think can run top 5, run top 3. Probably won't contend with Larson, but it's Tyler Ankrum in trucks, and it's Carson Kvapil for me in Xfinity. I think Larson wins. Sam Mayer's an option here at an outright at 13-1 over on BetMGM. Maybe take Sam Mayer, great short track racer. my concern is where Haas is at. It seems like Haas, with him and Creed, have just not had the speed that I thought they would at some of these higher wear racetracks. They were good at Homestead, but not great. And everywhere else, they've just been... I feel like Mayer has maximized equipment overall in 2025, but this is kind of his wheelhouse. Dude's a great short track racer. His career got kick-started with a truck win at Bristol back 5 years ago, 2020, 2019-ish. So Sam Mayer is plus money for a top 5, 13-1 outright, worth taking a look, I think, as a guy. He was the guy that gave Kyle Larson his best competition at Homestead and fucked him out of the win too. So I like Sam Mayer in that spot, but Carson Kvapil is definitely who I'm looking at with a microscope here, because he's 25-1 outright in Junior Motorsports equipment. That's been fantastic at Bristol with Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer. Sam did get involved in some wrecks in his time at Junior, but they've always had very, very fast cars. So you give me Carson Kvapil. I'm going to pull up Xfinity here on Bet Rivers real quick, so give me a second. Yeah, 25-1 is the best I've seen, and that is available on multiple books. Good voice crack. 25-1 outright, 7-1 top 3 on BetMGM, and then plus 275 top 5. I might just bet all those. And then let's talk about some underdogs. I gave you Sam Mayer, worth looking at. There's no commitment on anything I'm betting outside of Carson Kvapil. I'll go ahead and tell you that. Be straight up front about that one. But I think some underdog top 5, same process as trucks. Josh Williams, 70 to, if you get chaos, we know Josh is a pretty good short track racer. You know, Allmendinger's run well here in the past. They've shown glimpses. It's 70-1 for a guy that I expect to run 10th to 20th. If you get chaos, now that P10 to P20 could turn into a top 5. We've seen some miraculous shit happen in Xfinity with some of these prop bets. So Josh Williams, 70-1 top 5. Just take a look at it. That's same. He's 50-1 on BetMGM. Go to FanDuel. Or I'm sorry, FanDuel. Go to DraftKings for that one. And then maybe some prop opportunities on Justin Bonsignor in Gibbs equipment. Great short track racer. Has had glimpses of speed in the past in limited opportunities. He's 10-1 for a top 5. Nick Sanchez, 10-1 for a top 5 in big machine equipment. I think Sanchez is very talented. Kind of waiting for that one breakout run for those guys. I think it's going to come soon. Could happen on Saturday. Corey Heim. You know, I just... We all know, right, that if he was in Gibbs equipment in Xfinity, if he was in Junior equipment in Xfinity, this motherfucker would win non-stop. So when do we get that one moment where at Sam Hunt Racing, everything just the stars align? They put everything together with no gremlins, no fucked up pit stops, no blown engines, no accidents. When do we finally get that one race where it just all comes together? It will happen. And there's no driver that could, in the Sam Hunt Racing stable with their part-time guys that they have, that it could happen quicker for than Corey Heim. So he's 60-1 outright on FanDuel. He's 10-1 for a top 5 on BetMGM. And I see 12-1 for a top 3 on DraftKings, and then on BetMGM, 20-1 for a top 3. Man, I just feel like it's worth a shot. When are the stars gonna align for somebody that you can make an argument is more talented than any driver in this Xfinity series, other than maybe Allgaier, maybe Austin Hill? You could say Connor Zilic, not on ovals yet. I mean, you literally could count 2 or 3 guys that run full-time in Xfinity that I think have equal or more talent than Corey Heim. And this car is capable of running well if they just don't fuck up. If they just don't fuck up. By the way, he's 100-1 on BetMGM. So take the outright there for a penny for Corey Heim in the Sam Hunt Racing Toyota entry. It's worth a shot. So BetMGM also has better top 3s with Bonsignor 20-1 top 3, Sanchez 20-1 top 3. I already said Corey Heim 20 to 1 top 3, and Carson Quapple 7 to 1 top 3. Another guy to look at, maybe Christian Eckes. Another guy I think is extremely talented. Allmendinger won here in that car a couple years back. Well, shit, I think it's been 4 years now. Did my driver wreck again? Hold on a second. Yeah, he sure did. I'm gonna find out who this is. Oh fuck, that's Chastain. Chastain just wrecked. Okay, good thing it was in the race, not qualifying. These guys have a fucking handful for whatever reason. Anyway, BetMGM's got good prices on those top 3s relative to what DraftKings has. Christian Eckes in that department as well. Eckes 40 to 1 outright, 11 to 1 for a top 3. His top 5 on BetMGM is 4.5 to 1. Figured that would start shrinking after a really good effort at Darlington. But I think Eckes is very talented. I think he will win a race in 2025. Just going to depend on where. He's been good here. He's won here in the past in the Truck Series. So Eckes could be worth a shot as an underdog as well. But most of these bets that we're talking here, thin, small unit count plays, big reward. Emphasis play once again, Carson Quapple. I think this is potential. Once again, if Kyle Larson just makes that mistake, he could be one of the benefactors here. So if you wanted 2 outrights, Quapple, Mayer, and then all those props I talked about. So that's what I got for Xfinity. Stay tuned. Once again, everything will be behind the Dale Club paywall this weekend. Dubclub.win I've teamed up with for 2025 to deliver winning NASCAR bets all year long, except when Parker Kligerman gets disqualified, which I'm never going to let go for the rest of the year, maybe the rest of my life. But we're 30 units in the green overall to start 2025. We've had a good rebound after some bad luck. We've had some good luck, and we've had some really good cup race betting cards over the past month. So we're in a good spot here. Check out dubclub.win in the description below to see all my bets with specific unit allocations, which will be very important after practice and qualifying is over for all 3 NASCAR National Series. So that's what I got. I told you at the beginning of the show, I might not have a single cup bet. The one lean that I have out of all the favorites, at least, Christopher Bell 6.5 to 1. I was hoping I could get a 7 to 1 ticket. I think he opened at 7 to 1. But it stuttering like a motherfucker. It moved before I could even make a move. So 6.5 to 1 could be worth it if he qualifies blazing quick, practice as well, which I don't expect the Gibbs guys to be at the top of the charts in practice because they never are. But C-Bell could go out here. He could win the pole, and I think he's got the highest potential, other than Blaney, to shift into a co-favorite position with Hamlin and or Larson. So Ryan Blaney, I think you got to take a look at. I'm going to check, see what his best line is right now. 8 to 1 on Caesars and DraftKings for Ryan Blaney. He could be worth an early bet. Maybe he qualifies well, practices well. They bring the same fucking speed they've brought all year at every one of these technical racetracks. You could see him in a co-favorite position. So if I had 2 outrights to give out in the favorite category, pre-practice, pre-qualifying, I go Blaney and Bell. Another guy that I'm very tempted to bet on, he just never qualifies well, always races well, Chris Buescher, 32 to 1 over on FanDuel. Been so good here. I mean, been so good here. One fall of 2022. That kind of kick-started his successes, really, in the Cup Series. But Buescher, I feel like he had a top 3 car last weekend if he didn't get screwed by that one caution that flipped the field upside down. 32 to 1 on FanDuel. I just wonder if the books are finally saying, all right, they're still sleeping on him, but I just wonder if they're, typically after practice and qualifying, we're capable of getting a 50 to 1 line on Buescher because he doesn't ever do well in practice and qualifying. So you're kind of tempted to wait because of that possibility of qualified very poorly here last year. Tough to see. It's tough to kind of gauge that one. Could bet it before, may not. The trends would say wait. on Christopher Buescher. But if you bet it now, I wouldn't blame you. It'd be nice to get a 30-1 ticket, and he could go out here. He's got a decent qualifying draw, so could qualify well at a track that he's been good at. You would think he would, but seems like it never happens with this guy. Always races much better than he qualifies. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's kind of what I got. I feel like Zane Smith top 10. Might have to go back to the board on that. I talked about him on Out of the Groove with Eric Eastep earlier this week. Been very good. I mean, just so consistent, especially relative to where he was a year ago. He's 6-1 for a top 10 on BetMGM. Once again, I'm going to check here to see. Still use the Action Network app a good bit to make this a quicker process. 6-1 is the best available line on Zane Smith, who has a good qualifying draw. Very good qualifying draw. He's right there with Ty Gibbs, so he could qualify well. He qualified decent enough at Darlington last week. Should have run top 10, maybe top 5 on speed if you don't get that caution from Brad Keselowski. I think that could be a formidable bet, as my voice is starting to go away a little bit here. By the way, why did FanDuel drop their top 10 odds? The fuck? FanDuel doesn't have top 5s or top 10s or anything right now. Huh. Wonder if somebody dropped a nuke over there. Anyway, that's kind of everything I'm looking at, really. We're gonna go heavy on qualifying, heavy on trucks. We'll see about Xfinity and Cup. I just don't mind waiting. I just don't think there's crazy opportunity out there for anybody. And it's not surprising, as I opened the program with. Very chalky race. Same guys run up front, same guys lead all the laps. You're just not gonna get anything crazy in the betting markets. So I don't think you're doing yourself a disservice by waiting and seeing, especially with Kyle Larson. He's not going to qualify well, guys. You might as well wait. You might as well wait on Young Money this weekend. But I do think, I said it earlier in the week, I've said it on my live streams on Kick, I do think Kyle Larson is going to sweep the weekend. He's one of the few guys where even if he doesn't qualify well, I think he's going to find his way to the front. I expected it last week at Darlington, and then he wrecked out. I don't think that's going to happen here. This is probably his best racetrack other than Homestead. So, yeah, or Vegas. Very good at Vegas, too. So I think Kyle Larson is going to be there at the end. I predict the sweep. Hendrick Motorsports definitely has some heavy hearts this weekend. John Edwards, rest in peace. Super good guy that I got to know briefly, and always enjoyed saying hello and chatting with him real quick at the racetrack, and someone who was always very nice to me. And if you've seen on social media, clearly that sentiment has been expressed by everybody and how good of a guy he was to everyone. And a very sad loss. John Edwards, he was a PR guy for Jeff Gordon for decades, and has been working with Larson over the past few years, and he will be very missed. Very beloved, and definitely thinking about his friends and family heading into this weekend. And yeah, that's everything. That's everything I got here on Dale Center NASCAR betting preview for Bristol. I know this is a long-winded one. Hopefully I helped you guys out. If I helped you win some money, please like, share, subscribe. Dale Center here on YouTube. We took a good deep dive into everything Bristol that has been it's just been, I hate to say it, it's been kind of boring in the Gen 7 era, and that has a big impact on the betting markets too, and kind of how we got to cap it. So hopefully this deeper dive can kind of help you with some extra analysis. We're going to go about an hour here, and hopefully we have another profitable weekend because we've been red hot overall. Be sure to check out dubclub.win. Join the Dale Club today. Every bet will be behind that wall for this weekend, and I hope to see you guys at Bristol Motor Speedway. I will be boots on the ground on Saturday morning and Sunday for the Food City 500. Very excited to be back. It's been a couple years, and I hope as I've talked about, for the betting purposes, I gotta be honest and tell you where we are on the quality of the racing with the racetrack and the PJ1, all that shit. But I'm hoping we get a race like we saw last spring. I'm hoping we get some excitement. I feel like it can't be worse than last fall, right? Right? Can it be worse? I'm hoping not. We've seen enough excellence at this track over the years that my hopes will remain somewhat high that we can get something different than we had last fall. So hope you guys enjoy the weekend. IndyCars at Long Beach, be sure to check that out too. That is a very fun racetrack or race course for that series. I hope you guys enjoy the Masters as well, and come find me in Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm very polite. You don't have to be awkward. You don't have to be like, oh shit, there's that guy with the bubble goggles, fake redneck, degenerate, whatever you want to call me. It's fine. Come say hello. I'm very friendly. And I hope you guys, whether you're at the track or not, enjoy a very fun weekend in the sports world. Thanks again. Please like, subscribe, share if it helped you win some money. Do it anyway. Just be that guy. And enjoy it. Hope it's fun.